Hey, it's Jason with jamzDOTnet, cars, DIY, and adventures. And today's a bit of a DIY project. I'm up here at the building, and it's only winter right now, but summer, believe it or not, is around the corner. And I'm gonna be testing out this 127-pint commercial grade dehumidifier in the garage. This thing claims it can do up to 6,000 square feet. I'm gonna unbox it, install it, and give you some details about the dehumidifier. Come along for the ride. If you're looking for a dehumidifier, this might just be what you need. So as I mentioned, this is the HBN Commercial Dehumidifier. It can do 127 pints a day. That's 15 gallons of moisture. It's $359, which is more than the cheaper models, but if this is truly commercial grade and can truly do 127 pints a day or 15 gallons, it could very well be worth it. It's heavy. This thing weighs about 60 pounds, and it's 22 inches deep by 15 inches high by 17 inches wide. It's suitable, while they claim, to do up to 6,000 square feet. It also has dual drainage ports with a built-in pump. A lot of dehumidifiers you buy, you have to have either gravity-fed drainage or buy a pump if you're pumping it farther or up. This has it built in. This dehumidifier also has all the built-in sensors. So you can basically set the humidity and it's gonna sense it and do all the adjustments that it needs to do. That's absolutely a huge benefit. Mostly all dehumidifiers, though, do have that functionality. This is a great application for really damp basements, old houses, areas that might get a bit of flooding, areas that are just humid, like the Mid-Atlantic, or applications like this, where it's in my garage and I want to make sure that everything stays as dry as can be because of all the cars, but also humidity out in the summer is great because it doesn't make it feel nearly as hot as it really is. This thing is blue in color, what I can tell you. Let me put this box on the ground and then we can pull it out. And it weighs 60 pounds. It has some handles on top where you can pull it out. It's packed really nice. It came through Amazon and it showed up in like, you know, a day basically. I guess it was the same day or next day delivery. HBN Commercial Grade Dehumidifier. It has a power cable that I thought the power cable might be a little bit longer, but that's a pretty short power cable. And I don't like plugging things like this into extension cords unless I really have to. Look at that outlet. My goodness. That thing is massive. And let's take a peek at the filter. That is one beefy filter. 115 volts, 127 pints a day at 800 watts. There's a looks like a big old drainage port in the back here as well, that is plugged up. And then it looks like there's the smaller drainage port in the front, and it looks like you use this tubing here to drain it. Not that long of tubing that they give you. But that's probably just gonna pop on like that and away you go. Okay, so the instructions. The HBN dehumidifier. This is a Chinese manufactured item, and that sometimes means the manuals are, have some weird typos like explain up here at the top. Dehumidifier can reduce the air humidity in the room, let people live comfortably indoors and store things. Store things is a biggie for me. You can see the control panel, the air outlet, water pump drainage outlet, continuous drainage outlet. So on the front is the water pump, which I thought, and then on the back is the continuous drain that's plugged up. I am going to take advantage of the pump. You got the handles, you got the filter screen, and then operating instructions. Press the power button to start it, press it again to turn it off. You can cycle through a clock setting, time startup, time shutdown, and coil temperature display. So you can schedule a power on. You can adjust the set power time. I actually just want this to cut on when the humidity reaches a specific time. Humidity adjustment and timing adjustment. So you can do continuous, which I'll do based on humidity. And don't share the socket with other appliances. Do not share socket with other appliances. Suitable for indoor use. Yeah, so it's definitely going to draw some power. So you want to get a heavy-duty extension cord for that. I'm probably just going to actually set it up in here for now. Those are the instructions. So I want to show you how to get this filter out real quick. I'm just going to use this little screwdriver just to give me a little bit of leverage on it because it's pretty snug in there. But it pops right out when you do that. And you can see it just sits in there. I just had a hard time grabbing it, so I just went ahead and just gave myself a little bit of a push. And this is a reusable filter that you can clean. So that's good, but a pretty beefy filter. And, obviously the air intake is on this side, and then the output, the air intake here, and then the output right here. Now, traditionally, I do install these like on the ground, but in this environment, I want to elevate it a little bit, especially in this big side of the garage, which is where I'm going to put it. I have a shelf over in the corner by the garage door opener, and by the garage door, I should say, and that gets a little bit prone more to moisture because that's the exterior wall with the garage door, and when it rains and whatnot, presumably there should be a higher moisture level, higher humidity level over there. And I'm gonna elevate it. It's gonna be probably like 7 feet in the air, but this is a massive ceiling over here. I mean, these ceilings are probably 30 plus feet high, and that's gonna give me what I'm hoping, really good air circulation in the garage versus it just sitting on the floor and something potentially getting in front of it. Every application is going to be different. Do what's best for your application, but I have high hopes that this thing's going to blow really hard and give me some good depth in terms of air coverage. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Now, the garage right now is an absolute mess because I have a ton of cars in here and I'm doing construction up on the loft. But this is what I call the big side of the garage, and you can see what I'm talking about, just how high these ceilings are. And what I really want is really good circulation in here. And, theoretically, that should help with the other side as well, because my thought is that, it will blow from over here and just give me some nice dry air. So we're gonna see how that works. And then I don't have to worry too much about dust. And I'm gonna put it up on this shelf that I have that I haven't been using. Conveniently enough, there's an outlet, and I can probably just use the continuous natural drain without the pump, and then I can pump it through that little tube right out into the exterior. So that's gonna be where I put it, and that's kind of the view of what it's gonna get. because as you can see, I stuff a lot of stuff in this garage, and my concern if I put it right on the ground, if I drop a pallet there, it's just gonna be like in the way. So that's how I'm gonna do this application. Let's go ahead and get it up there and see how it sounds. Now this thing is 60 pounds, so it's not like I'm just gonna be gingerly throwing it up there, but I'm gonna give my best to put it up as easy as I can. So you can see it up here. And it's gonna give me, I hope, some pretty good airflow. I might even tilt it a little bit more. Yeah, I'm probably gonna actually tilt it even more. Yeah, so I decided I'm just gonna put it straight on because I don't want to impede any airflow. And I do kind of want it to just shoot out that way. The drawback having it high, you know, I'm gonna have to obviously be on a ladder or this step stool to see the side screen. Now taking a look at the gravity drain, it doesn't have threads or anything, you know, so you'd want to put a pipe big enough on that. I've decided I'm gonna actually use the pump only because I want to, I would like to get a little more force, even with it going downhill, to pump it farther away from the garage. So I'm going to keep this plugged up, and presumably that means the water's going to rise, and when it rises, it's going to hit a trigger, turn the pump on, and then pump the water out. So this little pipe will just go right over. It holds it very snug. If you're concerned, you could always put a little zip tie on it. But you can see I could be using gravity here, but I'm going to use a pump, but that's as far as I'm going to go. So I'm going to have to bring up some more tubing, which I'll do, and that's going to enable me to run the pipe basically here down the side, and I can actually very easily just snake it out the garage, and I'll probably have the pipe come all the way to right about here. More than likely. But we can actually cut this on now and do a little bit of testing. Okay, so I'm going to take the power cable and I'm going to plug it into my outlet. Nothing else is on this outlet, so I'm following the instructions, right? The only thing on it's an extension cord, so when it's on, I know. So now it's, right away it turned on. It definitely gives you some good air circulation. Let me get up here a little bit better so I can see the screen with you. So you can adjust the speed of it. That's where you can set your humidity. So I could say I want it to be at, 45%. Right now it's at 47% humidity. It has a room temp, so we can go in here and presumably change some of these settings. Let me get the instructions real quick. So this is the power button. Press it once to turn on, press it once to turn off. Now I turned it off, I think, but it takes a second to cycle down. So you can see it's now cycled down and the room humidity is 44%. Okay, so these instructions are a little confusing, but this is the fan speed, faster or slower. If you go in here, that's how you set it. timing on, timing off. That's the system temp where you can do things, but I just want this to run to basically get the humidity to where I want. So right now the humidity is 44, but I have it set to 65. So I'm kind of curious why it's still running. Okay, so this was rather confusing, but I think I figured it out. It appears it's always gonna blow, the fan. So like right now, the fan is blowing, and it's continuously blowing, either fast or slow. Those are the only two fan speed settings you get. You can see this says 1323 because it's 123 right now where I'm at, AKA 1323. So what you would do here is you go in and click this settings button and say that this is the time you want to set. The plus changes the hour, the negative changes the minute. So I have it set to 123. You press it again, I'm saying turn it on at 7 o'clock, plus for hour, negative for minute. And then you press the little gear button again, that's when you want to cut it off. I'm saying cut it off at 1800, which would be 6 p.m. And then this is basically the humidity setting. I'm saying I want to make sure that it's, 65 degrees humidity or below. And then it effectively just runs. But right now, it's just the fan running. If I crank this down, because the humidity is in here 44, if I crank this down like to 35, and once that sets, the compressor is going to kick on. The compressor just kicked on, and now it's basically doing a dehumidifier mode. So I thought it would actually only turn on and run the fan when the unit was running, but it's constantly circulating air. So right now I have the humidity set to 30. The compressor is running. I know it kicked on. You could kind of hear it make a click. And it's 125, and this will run presumably until 8 p.m. So this is set up to run on various cycles versus, cut on when the humidity gets a specific level. As far as the output, this is on, let's go ahead and turn it on high mode real quick. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the fan on max. It blows really hard. And all the way down here, I can feel this thing blowing air, like all the way back to here. I'm pretty far away. So it definitely outputs a whole lot of air. I'm gonna cut that fan speed back down. So the way this is set up now is the humidity is set to 50 degrees or 50%. I have the time set to 1:30, and I have it set. Current time is 1:30. Turn on at 7. Cut off at 5. And then the humidity will turn the compressor on if it's 50% humidity or higher. So the way I understand this is tomorrow at 7, this will cut on, it will run till 5, and the compressor will run and dehumidify if it's below 50%. So that is the HBN Commercial Dehumidifier. I'm going to run a pipe to drain this outside because the length isn't quite long enough. But overall, that is how you configure it, and that is ultimately how it will work. We'll see how it does, and I'm going to contact the manufacturer and just make sure I'm correct about how it cuts on and off. But let me know what you think. Okay, so that's the install of the HBN Commercial Dehumidifier. I guess the question is, I didn't realize it was going to work on like timing modes. I thought I could just say, turn on and dehumidify if it hits this specific. And when it cuts on, that fan constantly runs unless it needs a dehumidifier, then then the compressor kicks on. So the questions I'm gonna have for HBN, is there a way to just not use the timing functionality and basically say, cut on and do your thing if the humidity gets below 50% as an example. And then if they're like, no, you have to use timing, that's okay. I can run it during business hours or whatnot, or at night, whatever I decide. But my question's gonna be, does it always have to blow even if it's not dehumidifying? Because I could clearly see when the dehumidifier would go into dehumidify mode, but it always was blowing the fan. And I'm not used to a dehumidifier doing that. I'm used to them either dehumidifying or being off. So do I like this? I mean, look, I like the construction of it. I like the velocity of that fan. I mean, I was really far away and could feel it. So it is giving fantastic circulation. I like the filter. I like the durability and weight of the unit. So all of those things, thumbs up. I mean, I spent $280, $300 on GE dehumidifiers and they felt kind of cheap, the plastic casing. This definitely seems durable for a big environment like I'm using it for, or you might be using it for. So all of that, absolutely. Now, I don't know how good it would dehumidify yet, but that will be tested. The only thing I don't like is what I just mentioned. That fan is running even if it's not dehumidifying. So maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I'm going to clarify that up, and I'll add an update to this video in the comments based on what they tell me. So link in the description. I hope you found this helpful, especially setting it up. The instructions were kind of difficult to follow. Have a great day, and this is Jason with jamzDOTnet, cars, DIY, and adventures. Give me a subscribe on YouTube. It means a lot. Until next time, see you later.